Today we're starting the build-up of my newly painted frame. Alright, this is exciting. I've got some really cool parts coming in for this build, and some of them haven't been announced yet, so I can't just put them all on right now. This will come out in a series, but I want to show you the parts I put on and why. The silver, you'll notice, is no longer reflective. We put matte clear coat over this, and it kind of reacted with the silver a little bit. There's a couple little splotches on it. So this doesn't look like a showroom paint job. That's okay, this is a bike that's meant to be ridden. I wanted something unique, and this is definitely unique. Got a little bit of overspray inside the seat tube, taking all that paint off, making this smooth for the dropper. All right, that's looking good. 9point8 has partnered with this build, and they sent me this Fall Line R. It's like they're mechanics, and they said, let's make this as easy as possible for people who work on their own bikes. So first of all, this is super cool. Just putting the saddle on, you just loosen those two, and the saddle sits right on top. There's no more weird plate that gets pinched in there. You don't have to feed these weird bolts through hoping a nut doesn't come loose. So easy to put the saddle on. Also, it uses different bolts for the forward and aft position as it does for angling. So if you get your forward and aft where you want it, but you don't like the angle, you can change these without worrying about changing the forward and aft, and vice versa. They also sell all their replacement parts, so if anything breaks, you can just buy the little part. This is called a forehead, and it replaces this top piece, and you can get it as an offset set back seat post. So it sets it back about an inch, or set forward. So if you have a super slack seat tube angle and you want it to feel steeper, you can get this forehead, put it on, and your seat angle instantly feels steeper. Super cool option. Another thing I really like, let me show you how this works. Your housing is connected to the dropper. It's part of it. So when you pull it up in the seat tube to raise your seat, the housing comes with it. You never separate the housing from the cable. If you've ever used a Fox Transfer or a KS Lev or a 1UP or a PNW, they're not connected. And when you pull them up, the housing and the cable inside separate, and then there's slack in there, and then it doesn't work. You have to feed the whole thing up. 9point8 also has my favorite remote lever. Wolf Tooth and 9point8 work together for this. I like the thumbprint. It's called the Digit Remote. Super fun. It's got Wolf Tooth's little logo on there with 9point8. These are the best. They are so adjustable, so easy to use, so easy to tune. I wish all droppers came with a lever like this. It would make life so much better. Another cool thing is this uses a different clamping mechanism to actuate the lowering and raising of it than most droppers. So the internal parts are at 20 to 40 PSI. That's fantastic. Lower pressure is always better. And it still returns as fast as other droppers at 200 PSI. So that means your seals are under way less pressure. It means if you did have a problem and you needed to repressurize it, you could actually do it with your bike pump instead of a shock pump. Anyway, I think that's really cool. Lots of cool stuff going on these. Thank you guys for etching my logo in there. That is so cool. All right, let's install this thing. So another thing that 9point8 does that I love is all of their bolts on every single product are the same 4mm. It's 1 Allen for everything. More people should do that. It makes so much more sense. I got so fed up fishing for cables that I broke down and bought the Park Tool cable threading kit. It's super nice, but it's crazy expensive. Since I build a bike every week or two, it's gonna pay for itself, but man, 60 bucks for these little things, but there's nothing else that works like these. That's cool, just threads into the housing and pulls it with it. This I do want internal always. I never want a fully external dropper. Stan sent in some wheels for this build. I'm really appreciative of them. I'm getting a lot of cheaper wheels in lately because that is one of the most important places to spend money, and a lot of people ask me, what should I buy for such and such budget? And I'm trying to get more experience with budget wheels as well as really nice wheels. You know, I've got my Zips and my Knights, which I love, Those are my all-time favorite wheels, and they're very bling, very expensive. But we're diving into some of the more affordable wheels, and there's some cool stuff out there. Let me show you. So for this build, we're gonna be testing out the Stans Arch Mark III. These are lightweight, narrow rims. These are 26 mil inner. That's a lot narrower than I go on a lot of bikes. But this is kind of gonna be my cross-country-ish bike, although it's not a cross-country bike, it's an enduro bike, but we're gonna build it up lightweight and fast to cover lots of distance and still be rowdy. So I wanted this instead of their enduro rims. And that's normally narrower than I would go, so this is a bit of an experiment. But they're nice and light, they're nice and cheap, and they have a really cool option. This is the Speed Sync free hub. For about 100, 110 bucks, you can buy these and swap out the hub in your existing Stans wheels. So this one has the regular 10 degrees of engagement. It's not bad. I think it's got better engagement than like a DT350. But when you swap this out, it cuts it down to 5 degrees of engagement, which is a fast engaging hub. And it's really cool because A, you can buy these used and then swap the new hub in, or B, any shop can get these. And if you want to get them new, you can buy a brand new wheel set, ride it for a while. When you decide you need faster engagement for 110 bucks more, swap that other driver on, and then you've got a really fast engaging hub. Not many companies do that. In fact, the only ones I know of are Stans and DT Swiss. Everyone else, you have to buy a completely different hub, remove all the spokes, put the new hub on, relace the wheel, pay a shop to do that, and hope they do it well. This is super nice. You just pull it out, swap that out, you're good to go. So I'm super thankful for Stans for sending these in. Let's throw some tires on these and some rotors and see what they're like. So tires are probably the most important component you can change on your bike except for the frame. So many people overlook tires, and people buy a tread that might be great for one part of the world but awful for their part of the world. Talk to your local riders, talk to your local shops, see what tires they're running and why, but don't be afraid to experiment as well. So I'm building this up as a lightweight cross-country / trail bike, and this is what I've gone with. In the back, I'm using a tire my buddy Dave gave me. It's an Ardent Race 29 by 235. It's a 120 TPI, and that's a thinner sidewall casing. I wish it was a 60, but I'm out of budget and I can't afford a $70 tire just to have a slightly stiffer sidewall. So this will be my rear tire. 235, it should fit nicely. It should give me a little bit bigger profile than a lot of true XC tires, so give me a little more cushion. I'm not gonna wanna run it super low pressure though, because it is 120 TPI. These are softer sidewalls, so even at high pressure it's a softer ride, and if you air down too much, A, you're more likely to slice, and B, it'll get more squirmy. This is an experiment. I've ridden these in a plus format and I really like them, but I've never ridden them in a 235. Thanks Dave for sending these my way. I appreciate it. I'm excited to try these out. And I always like a wider front tire than the back. The way I ride, if you've watched my modern technique video, I use my front way more than my back when I'm cornering and jumping and doing technical moves. I'm way over the front. And I want more traction in the front than the back. If the back slides a little, no problem. If the front slides, I'm in trouble. That's also why I don't like running a 29 by 2.4 in the front and a 27.5 by 3.0 in the rear. I need more traction in the front than the back. So up front, we're running a Recon 29 by 2.4. Some of you are laughing because this is probably my least favorite rear tire. But when I was riding my buddy Chris's Mbop, he had Recons front and rear, and I fell in love with it as a front tire in northern Arizona. It just works really well. So this is gonna be my front tire, a little bit wider than the 2.3 on the back, and this is a 60 TPI casing, which I like. Thicker sidewall means I can air it down a little more, means it's tougher and thicker. We're running the EXO protection. This is just a dual compound, which is fine. I feel like around here with all the slick rock, the 3C compounds wear out a little bit faster than I like. And when you're paying 70 bucks for a tire, you don't want them to wear out super fast. Anyway, this is gonna be an experiment. I think this will be great up front, especially paired with that Ardent Race. I think Stans wheels seat better than any wheel I've ever used. They're so easy to do. I feel like you can get away with running slightly narrower rims on stands compared to other ones, just the way the tire profile plays out. So that's a 2.4. That's looking like a great fast rolling front tire with lots of great cornering knobs. And here's the rear. The knobs are definitely rolled over more. This is a little bit flatter. Excited to put these on.